like everything, you're a part of it all.
Yeah.
And so the legacy of this street, the legacy of our people, it part of it is seeing your connection. Like that's part of it. Part of it is not like seeing that you're different from it. Even you, you know what I mean? It's seeing the story and seeing the history and feeling like it's yours to learn, to understand, to not understand, and to express. Either you're understanding or not understanding. And Alonzo Herndon, has been a major figure in Atlanta history, Black history, Auburn Avenue. And so when I was doing the history and when I was looking up things in the building and looking at what different things that the building had served, I came across, it was, one of the locations for the location for the first Black-owned hotel.
Yes, sir.
And so it was called, the European Hotel. Then one of Alonzo Herndon's early offices.
Yep.
And so it's like when you just see that and you understand where you are and what you're doing, you just know that, you have to be respectful of it, and you have to just understand where your place is in it, and understand that you're just a piece of it. Although I make the decision, I didn't create this myself. I'm born into it,
right.
And it's it's my responsibility to decide what it is right now.
Yes, sir.
But it's also my responsibility for it to live on beyond me.
Yes, I feel. Good people, what's up, what's good, man? Thank y'all for tuning in to another edition of our Unearthing series. As you guys may already know, we are about to drop our very first documentary and docu-series, Unearthing the Black Mecca, where we'll be talking about the life and accomplishments of the great Alonzo Herndon, which is the city of Atlanta's first Black millionaire, along with the richest Negro street in the world once upon a time, which was Auburn Avenue here in Atlanta, Georgia. We'll be talking about the Apex Museum, which was the first Black history museum, located and dedicated to Auburn Avenue by Dan Moore Sr. We'll be talking about, of course, Alonzo Herndon and talking to his family, John Wesley Dobbs, and so many untold stories such as the 1906 Atlanta Race Massacre, not Race Riot, Powell's Lounge, the Royal Peacock. So many hidden gems, 229 Auburn Avenue, the Odd Fellows building, one of the first Black-owned banks, Word Studios, WERD radio station. First Black-owned radio station located here in Atlanta, Georgia. Phrases such as Word Up started at Word Radio. We got so many facts and cool stories to talk about. Journalists, historians dropping gems. We cannot wait for you guys to tap into the Black businesses that's currently here on Auburn Avenue. Historic Black churches such as Big Bethel, Auburn Avenue, Ebenezer. We got so many different other stories that people aren't trying to cover, that aren't even talking about these things. And it's up to us, located right here in the city of Atlanta, to discuss Auburn Avenue. So, with that being said, we think of Atlanta as the Black Mecca, right? Which it is. But how and why did it become the Black Mecca? What king players and queen players played a pivotal role in this becoming such? That's what this docuseries is about. So coming up, we have somebody here that we featured on Unearthing the Black Mecca. So throughout this series, you'll be seeing the people that we featured on the documentary. And through this series, it's up to us to provide you guys with the more extensive version in conversations with the guests who were on the documentary, now on the podcast. So, on the doc, things have to get cut and snipped. So if you hear something that's interesting and if you want to know more about those topics, that's the purpose of the Unearthing series, which we have for you guys for the podcast. So thank you guys for tapping in. Now let's get into the show. Peace. Good people, what's going on? I'm Caleb Smith. Man, we are at the legendary Powell's Lounge. Devon Woodson, man. Devon, thank you so much for opening up your doors. This place is magical. We see everything from Rudy Ray Moore. You got Smokey Robinson, Tina Turner, the vibe, the music, everything. And, just knowing a simple text like the door's unlocked. You can just come in and it's just peaceful when you walk in. What does Powell's Lounge mean to you right now?
Well, I mean, it's Pal's Lounge is, I'm the fourth generation owner of Pal's Lounge. So it started with my great grandfather, Robert Lee Murray, and then grew up with my grandmother, Shirley Thomas. And there was like a blues bar, a jukebox in the back, fried chicken, you know what I'm saying? Like, and so, and it's Auburn Avenue, you know what I mean? And so it's just the history of the street, but more than that, the history of my blood. You know what I mean? It's like to have a family institution that has been there since you grew up.
Wow.
You grew up in a neighborhood and between some walls, and then you get to decide what you want to do with it. So it's like a living legacy. So it means a lot.
Yes, sir. For sure, man. 4 generations.
Yeah.
Robert Lee Murray, your great grandfather. How does that feel of being somewhere where it's like it was 3 other generations prior to me? Do you feel a sense of being responsible of, I have to keep this going, but not only going, but also thriving? How does that feel?
Yeah, I mean, it's, when I grew up down here and you're a child, then you look at things differently. You're just here.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I'm just experiencing the street.
Yeah.
But it wasn't really till I got a little older and, people pass and then things become your responsibility that you kind of take on a new level of responsibility for what you have.
For sure.
And so for me, it's, it's a blessing, because it's like being surrounded by your ancestors all the time.
Yes, sir.
And it's like, I know that for all the stuff I want to do, I have the guidance in the environment for me because I grew up here. I have the, my family, in my head. My mom is still, here and she's still, present in the business and stuff. And so it's just a blessing, you know what I mean? And I feel fortunate to just be able to have something that was in a different time period and then still be able to have it now and then shape it for the future.
Yes, sir. Man, doing this whole process of just learning more about Auburn Avenue and reading about you, the articles, all that good stuff, it's like it's a whole nother world. Auburn Avenue, what does this place mean to you?
I mean, Auburn Avenue, the history of it is crazy, going, past over 100 years of Black entrepreneurship, Black entertainment, civil rights, Black liberation, and so right now there's a transition going on, and so it's wonderful to still be here in the desolation because as we see, a lot of stuff is changing. A lot of institutions have brought up family-owned businesses, and a lot of the people who were here before, even in my lifetime, are no longer here.
Wow.
And so just being involved as a business owner, I'm also the president of the neighborhood association, in the area, and just being able to be a part of the decision-making, a part of the progress, a part of the past, and a part of the future, of such an important street in an important neighborhood for Black America.
Yes, sir.
And just, really the world and what kind of it has brought from, civil rights to Martin Luther King to Alonzo Herndon to the millions of people who have come here and experienced the history and felt what it is and
Yes, man, I feel that. Alonzo Herndon, right? Rarely even spoken about. Georgia State, I went there. Honors College, used to work in that building, went to school in that building, and all you see is a very small plaque. Knowing that he is connected to this place, how does that feel for you as well?
I mean, like everything, you're a part of it all.
Yeah.
And so the legacy of this street, the legacy of our people, part of it is seeing your connection. Like that's part of it. Part of it is not like seeing that you're different from it. Even you, you know what I mean? It's seeing the story and seeing the history and feeling like it's yours to learn, to understand, to not understand, and to express, either your understanding or not understanding. And Alonzo Herndon, I mean, just has been a major figure in Atlanta history, Black history, Auburn Avenue. And so when I was doing the history and when I was looking up things in the building and looking at what different things that the building had served, I came across, it was, one of the locations for the location for the first Black-owned hotel.
Yes, sir.
And so it was called, the European Hotel. Then one of Alonzo Herndon's early offices.
Yep.
And so it's like when you just see that and you understand where you are and what you're doing, you just know that, you have to be respectful of it, and you have to just understand where your place is in it, and understand that you're just a piece of it. Although I make the decision, I didn't create this myself. I'm born into it,
Right.
and it's my responsibility to decide what it is right now.
Yes, sir.
But it's also my responsibility for it to live on beyond me.
Yes, I feel you. WABE, man, they did a great story on you. Kenny Murray, man, shout out to you. Great dude. Man, reading that story, hearing you talk about it's not just about you. Where does that spirit of being unselfish come from?
Well, it's not any secret that the Black community rarely ever gets to pass down things generationally.
Right.
It's not a secret that we lose property in generations, that Black neighborhoods are often, stripped, you know what I'm saying,
Yeah.
resold,
Yeah.
resurfaced,
Yeah.
and then they put up a plaque, and so, for me, it's simply about being a part of something and creating something new from something old.
Yeah.
And understanding that things have to live. It's not about the past or nostalgia. You know what I'm saying? It's about understanding where you come from and then seeing where you need to go.
Yeah.
And that's where my journey has been down here. It's the environment is constantly changing politically, the influx of Georgia State, all kinds of transportation and construction initiatives. And, it's just, it's part of a legacy. And so I'm just trying to understand it and do my part.
I feel you, man. Gentrification, right? That's a real big problem. Auburn Avenue, once referred to as the richest Negro street in the world.
He's with y'all? Okay.
Yeah,
Just-
perfectly fine.
Okay,
No,
yeah,
cool.
just-
Hey, you part of the vibe. We
Yeah,
here,
yeah.
man. 1956, known as the richest Negro street in the world. Now we have a highway that goes right through it, right above us, actually.
Right.
What impact has that had on Auburn Avenue throughout the years? Do you feel?
Well, I mean, it's like the transportation initiatives are almost always how a neighborhood is transformed.
Yeah.
And I'm sure, just like the most recent one with the streetcar, before when they ran the highway, that happens in almost in every historical black thriving neighborhood. They run a highway right through the middle of it, displace Black businesses. And I'm sure that many Black businesses that went out of business, they probably never came back to business anywhere. Not moved, they're just gone. And so, cities have a history of doing that to Black neighborhoods, especially historically black neighborhoods over and over again. Yeah. So we had the highway that went over here. We had the streetcar initiative. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? That has happened. Very recently. Yeah. And all of those things kind of serve to disrupt the neighborhood and honestly remove people to add new people. Yeah. And it's, the new people, to me, it's about whoever it is. Gentrification is about money. You know what I'm saying? It's about expanding money and opportunities for whoever wants to be there. The issue is that it usually happens on top of a community that exists already.
Correct.
And very rarely can people survive it. You know, the most recent one, it's like for the streetcar, you know, the street was closed down completely for pretty much 2 years.
Wow.
You know, you couldn't cross the street for a year.
Wow.
It's like you're asking businesses to survive under conditions like that and not really giving any incentive. So that's recent. So I can only imagine, you know, businesses that were, you know, when they ran the connector over here, I mean, it's just a wrap.
Yeah. Wow.
You know, and so people don't come back. And so in a way, you know, Auburn is a ghost town of what it was before.
Yes.
You know, because once you make it to where these businesses can't not only exist, which is over the area of the streetcar, but the construction project, you know what I mean? The duration of that. And then after that, what's left? You know, neighborhoods have to rebound. You know, there has to be really a regeneration of the neighborhood.
Yeah.
Because basically the neighborhood down here, the people who live down here were kind of moved out. And so that's where things are in a way now. It's like, well, what is the neighborhood? What's the identity of the neighborhood? We know the past, but what's the future? And you go from people living here, families and growing up here, to more transient living, more people renting, more people, you know, whether it's college or people renting or like all those things need to happen to bring life to a neighborhood. But if people don't live there, then there's going to be something missing.
Yes, I feel you. Gentrification, as we know, we can't stop it. It's happening nonstop. How do we try to maintain Auburn Avenue's true essence throughout things like gentrification still happening right now during this time?
Well, I mean, I think what we have to understand is it's a different neighborhood. I mean, first off, you have to say things have changed.
Yeah.
And then once you say things have changed, you have to say, well, what from before, what is the community that exists here? Who is here? And then once you can identify who is here, then you can maybe identify what you can preserve. And then, you know, other things that you need to, maybe that don't need preservation, that need to be changed. So, I mean, I think that is, the main thing to me is, you know, with pals and having a business here, and is that you can't like live in the past. You know, history is not a dead thing.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be a living text within us.
Correct. Yes, sir.
You know, and so each time we treat things as being dead, then it's a wrap.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so if people look at Auburn Avenue and they say, okay, well, Auburn Avenue is just these memorials like the King Center. It's like, that's great, but that's not the future. You know, that's not going to take us to the next level as a community. You know, it's a memorial. It's meant to remind you of the lessons and the trials and the tribulations that people went through in the past, and be like, okay, look at what happened. You know what I mean? This stuff is preserved. This is how you preserve. This is how they did. How are we going to preserve it?
That's right. Speaking on the future, what does the future of Powell's Lounge and Auburn Avenue look like to you, Devon? What do you think that is?
Well, the future of Powell's is surviving. Surviving not just with the business, but with the culture.
That's right.
You know, and the street is changing, and so I just hope to continue to be part of the change. A lot of stuff is moving in. I hope to be right here when it surrounds me.
Yes, sir. I love that, man. A beautiful space. What inspired everything, whether it's the music that's in here, all of that? What's your daily motivation when you wake up and when you unlock those doors and walk inside of Powell's Lounge?
Motivation. I would say, I mean, one of the major motivations is probably my grandmother. You know, growing up, my grandmother was here all the time. You know, my memories of being in Pals are with my grandmother at the jukebox. You know, blues bands are playing. You know what I mean? People smoking cigarettes. You know what I'm saying? Drinking gin. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, and so, you know, my motivation is not. It's like we all have to be somewhere.
Yeah.
On earth.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's like, this is a wonderful place to be.
Yes, sir.
You know, and so it's like, you know, my family and my ancestors and the community has given me an opportunity to create something special.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's my motivation.
I love that.
Just continuing to honor it.
Yes, sir. What do you think makes Atlanta the quote-unquote Black Mecca, right? Because people always talk about Black entrepreneurship here, Black excellence, but it's like seeing your family, fourth generation, your great-grandfather. Y'all were already doing this. Y'all are truly a cornerstone that's on the corner right here, who were here. So what do you think makes Atlanta the Black Mecca, if you will?
Well, for like a long time, Black people have been left alone to do what they needed to do.
Right.
You know, if you leave Black people alone, you know what I'm saying, then we can figure some stuff out.
Right.
You know, and so you know, in a lot of places in the United States, the you know, the choking of segregation, the choking of, you know, slavery, the choking of, you know, the Reconstruction era, if you like, the choking of, you know, all of the different eras of history of people trying to figure out, okay, how do I make it to the next level? Atlanta has been there, but we have been able to, we started the process a little bit earlier, and we were kind of left alone for a while. So we were able to build communities like Auburn Avenue, you know, and there's, you know, other communities just, you know, in historically Black areas. And, you know, of course, you know, we have the Atlanta, you know, massacre, you know, riots and stuff like that. You know, stuff is going to happen.
Yeah.
But Black people have been able to make money. And so if you allow people to have their own space, then we're going to find a way to make money.
Yeah.
If you still let us make money, we're going to find a way to buy something. If you let us buy something, we're going to own something. And then now we have something. And so Atlanta, people in Atlanta have been able to get into the system.
Yes.
And so many places were locked out of the system. We got Black politicians. We got Black ownership. We got complete Black areas that are, you know, hood and affluent.
That's right.
You know what I mean? It's like the diaspora of the Black community is here. And it's just, if you travel around the United States, it's just not other places. You know, not like that.
Yeah.
You know, it's been wiped out.
Yeah, that's right. It's still standing here.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ownership, man. That's so important, right? Now, ownership, generational wealth, all of these things are like buzzwords now. But again, your family, seeing the pictures, everything, y'all have already been on that. Why is ownership so important in not just leasing buildings, but owning buildings and passing them down on to the next generation?
Well, I mean, ownership is power. I mean, anytime you own something, you have the power. And it's that simple. Pals could have never survived for this long without ownership. You know, speaking of, you know, we just talked about the transportation initiatives. You know, you have a transportation initiative, you have to the city basically shuts you down for a year plus. Everybody who rented went out of business.
Yeah, I can imagine.
You know, whereas like, I mean, you know, we own the building, the business, the licenses. Yeah, you figure it out because you're like, you know, I'm not about to let y'all just completely shut me out of my whole life.
That's right.
But it's the ownership piece that allows you the staying power.
Yeah.
And it's like, so it's not about selling. It's not about cashing out on something. It's about seeing it for like what it is and the power that it holds for you, whether it's individually, your family, you know, your future, your past. You have to understand that the ownership piece is the main piece of anything.
Yes, sir. Man, while doing this doc, we've seen people say, "Oh, Auburn Avenue is a great place, special," but it was only flourishing because of segregation during that time. And it's like, from doing more research, I can say no. I think that it was great black businesses happening and occurring and exchanges happening and great ideas. So how can we make Auburn Avenue affluent again post segregation and post integration right now?
I think individual investment, like we have institutions moving down here, multi-million-dollar projects. They're going to fix buildings and they're going to buy large areas and they're going to do what they do.
Yeah.
The man is going to create a place for himself wherever he wants to.
Yeah.
But the uplifting of a community is going to be in the individuals. And so, people just taking a personal interest and a personal involvement in creating a positive community. That's kind of what it's about.
Yeah.
It's really that simple. It's like, if you have 10 businesses, you have 10 families who devote their time and their efforts to creating a business that serves the community and they care about the community and they're involved, you'll see a neighborhood change quickly.
Yeah.
And so to me, that's what it is. In being involved in the neighborhood association and that sort of stuff, there's not enough community involvement. Like we do meetings, we have the information, out there for the community, but people aren't involved.
That's it.
And so it's like, how do you get people involved? Well, people have to want to be involved.
Yeah.
And I get it because it's boring.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I sit on conference calls. I'm like,
Real work.
you're learning about, land use and
Yeah.
public safety. And I mean, I get it. Like, it's not sexy. You know what I'm saying? But it's necessary.
Yes.
And so by being involved and really understanding a community and just caring about it, then you just see how it can thrive. And so as long as people stay out of the involvement circle, then, you'll just be a victim to the environment.
That's right.
And that's what it is. It's like pretty much in most neighborhoods, everybody's a victim to the environment. They don't know about what's going on until the dump trucks show up. By the time the dump trucks show up, they've been talking about it for a year, it's over.
Wow. That's powerful, man. So how do we better support Powell's Lounge and other great businesses all throughout Auburn Avenue right now?
I guess just come through and support.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Come through, have a birthday here, you know what I'm saying? Come through, watch the game,
Yeah.
have something to eat,
Yeah.
Tell people. And mostly it's just be involved. It's like, whether it's in a business or not. I hope that I hope that the inspiration of generational business or community involvement is about not just one neighborhood, but a collection of neighborhoods. So it's not just Auburn Avenue, but there's Auburn Avenue, there's Edgewood, there's the senior home behind that.
Yeah.
All of these things work symbiotically.
Yes, sir.
And so I have a business, but my business has to work symbiotically with the churches, with the schools, with everybody. So it's really that. It's really like, pay attention, understand, look around, know what's going on.
Yes, sir. Seeing tourists, you can constantly see them walk in, take pictures of the John Lewis mural, do the whole King Center bit. How can we start having tourists better understand that you have Powell's Lounge, you have Big Bethel,
Right.
Atlanta Life Insurance Company, it was over here. And it wasn't just Dr. King or
Right.
John Lewis. How do we start raising up their own consciousness, if you will, of knowing you still have great establishments still right here on Auburn Avenue?
I think it's a thing of identity. Also, there's been when you think of Auburn Avenue, like we kind of talked about before, it's you think about it in terms of memorializing something.
Yeah.
In terms of something that's alive.
Yep.
And so I think that almost like a rebranding of our neighborhood and our community is necessary so that people understand. I mean, because this is, one of the largest tourist attractions. Obviously, the MLK Center and all of those things, those are worldwide phenomenons. So there's already the attention that exists. People already know, okay, if you don't know Auburn Avenue, you know Martin Luther King. So it's like people are looking in the direction.
Yes, sir.
So if people are looking in the direction, then get their attention with some other stuff. Often, and I think it makes it easier for kind of change to happen in whatever direction. Often, we just want to look at things just only in the past.
Yeah.
And so I think that really a rebranding of the neighborhood and from entertainment to family and to attract families and to attract people to want to kind of live down here again. And whether they have businesses or, I think that's where things are.
For sure. Man, the vibe in here, Devon, undefeated. When you walk in, it feels like family. On the mat, come as guests, leave as friends. I feel that. Why is having such a welcoming vibe so important in Pal's Lounge for you?
It's always been like that. When I was younger, and it was just a jukebox, juke joint, Sam Cooke, James Brown, that's it. You know what I'm saying? But everybody was always welcome. Everybody came. You come in here, it might be the old cats and the gators and with the feather in the hat, you know what I'm saying? But everybody was always welcome. If you're young, if you want to come in and get into it, come get into it.
Wow.
Any nationality, everybody was welcome. And so I think that it's important to have an environment that has a strong identity, but is welcoming to everybody.
Yes, sir.
Because that's really the only way we're going to figure stuff out is to be able to be around each other, people be able to experience the culture, people be comfortable to experience the culture.
Yes, sir.
And so I'm trying to create an environment that's, everybody can walk in and be like, okay, this feels right.
Yeah, I feel
This
that.
is right.
Yes. Man, it is, y'all. I'm telling y'all. Devon, why should people come by to Pal's Lounge, vibe out anytime that they're touring Auburn Avenue, walking through Auburn Avenue, just around or even down the street? Why should they come inside of Pal's Lounge and vibe out with you?
Hey, they should come. Y'all should come and listen to this good music. Y'all should come listen to these this wonderful live entertainment. We have blues bands. We have all kind of bands playing. People should come in and eat the good food. I got a throwback. I got a throwback cook. You know what I'm saying? Putting them spices on it. Great drinks. Just trying to create an environment in the bastion of a lot of chaos out there where people can feel comfortable.
For sure.
And people can feel good and just for a second go somewhere else and then go back to your life.
Yeah, I love that, man. In closing, where can everybody follow you, keep up with you, stay in touch with Pal's Lounge and with yourself?
Pal's Lounge Atlanta. That's us online, and just keep following the vibe and check us out.
Yes, sir. Devon, man, I appreciate you so greatly, man.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Y'all, please check out Pal's Lounge. Auburn Avenue is such a historic, beautiful place. Pal's Lounge, just as historic, it's a bloodline to what's going on right now. It's still standing, man. 4th generation owner. People talk about Atlanta, black entrepreneurship, living example of this happening right now. So anytime you downtown, Auburn Avenue, gotta push up Pal's Lounge, man. Let's be host Caleb Smith. Until next time, peace.